Well, time for our monthly installment of Inside Justice with Onondaga County District Attorney Bill Fitzpatrick, talking about some of the biggest issues in local and sometimes national law, too. And Mr. DA, thanks for being here again.
Yeah, great, Matt. Good to see you, Jackie. How are you?
Appreciate you doing that. Just a couple days before the state fair, taking this time out, you know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's time to start exercising.
Yes, right before you start eating. Yeah.
Right.
Let's get down to this story of Vincent Torres. He was a convicted rapist, and the higher court said you get a new trial. What's behind that decision?
The Constitution guarantees every defendant the right to a public trial. And of course there are nuances, as you might imagine, because there's a tremendous amount of case law. For example, if the court closes the doors and excludes everyone, that's a clear violation of the Constitution. In this case, this guy's wife, now why she wanted to be at this trial is beyond me. Do I want to sit there and listen to Darling describe these sex acts he had with an elderly woman? And she was asked by the judge, as I understand it, to leave the courtroom, and then as soon as prospective jurors who were not selected began to filter out and there was room for her, come on back in. She alleges that she sat out there for 90 minutes. That's the best case scenario for the defendant. And then she came back in. What did she miss? She missed whether or not people could speak English, whether or not people lived in Onondaga County, whether or not they had an opinion or had read anything about the case. In short, she missed absolutely nothing of any substance. I mean, there's nothing that she could have communicated to her husband that would have been relevant about his constitutional rights or his guilt or innocence. So we feel very strongly, as did the two dissenting judges, that the case should not be reversed, and we're hoping that the state's highest court, the Court of Appeals, agrees with us.
And you've been in touch with the family. What is their feelings? Since
this is an elderly woman.
He's free.
She's astonishingly, Jackie, he is now free on bail, even though this reversal has nothing to do with the fact that 12 people found him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So a judge has decided that he should be able to walk the streets because that's within his discretion. In terms of the victim, she is one very classy, tough lady. And to quote her, she says, "I don't care if I have to come back when I'm 95. This man did this to me, and I'm going to tell people what happened."
Let's talk a little bit about the latest appearance of the name of Bernie Fine, Lori Fine in the news, investigation into prescription drugs. Is this investigation going any further than what we've heard so far? A nurse has been charged with illegal use of these prescriptions?
Naturally, in any case where we have an allegation of a nurse illegally prescribing or doling out prescription drugs, which is a very, very serious issue. I think it's certainly at the level of bath salts for this community, and my office is doing a lot to try to address that. We've been meeting quietly with some mental health and addiction specialists over the last couple of months to deal with the prescription drug problem. But with that said, I don't want to leave anyone with the impression that we have some massive investigation going on regarding Lori Fine. This is an allegation by a defendant that one of her customers was Lori Fine. I have no way of proving that. I can't arrest Lori Fine based on that statement because I don't have any of the drugs. And that's what we call corpus delicti under law. You need to have the drugs absent some other independent proof, such as Lori Fine saying, yes, it's all true, and I don't anticipate that's happening. So that's a little, I guess, salacious tidbit to the story. But you know, we're going to continue to investigate the defendant, the nurse, and see where it leads.
You mentioned bath salts. Now that we're several months into this high-profile segment, do you think that they're getting too much attention or the right amount of attention?
I think they're getting the right amount of attention. I think if you methamphetamine got not much attention, and it kind of crept up on the Midwest and took over some communities, and then it began to hit urban areas. I remember years ago talking to my colleague Mike Arcuri, who was a former congressman and now
Oneida
County DA, about an apartment building in Utica that had literally the residents were enslaved by these meth dealers. And if you take these things lightly, they'll take over your community. So that's not my approach.
In strengthening the penalties, do you think that's enough to stop the manufacture of
I think it's a start, Jackie, because now we've got it out of these head shops and we're not attracting new customers. Ultimately, we're going to need state legislation to deal with it as a controlled substance and appropriate harsh penalties, especially for selling, for the sale of this type of thing.
All right, Bill Fitzpatrick, thanks for joining us again. Interesting.
Great.
What are you going to eat at the fair, by the way? If you got a favorite, chocolate milk,
Well,
fried dough?
I got. If
Cup
I
of
don't,
beer?
I got to mention Gina Ellis. I said, beer? They serve alcohol at the fair? Is that true? Oh my God!
There's got to be a Fitzpatrick stand.
I
in
knew
some
you'd get.
corner.
I knew you'd get Bernie Fine into the conversation again. You're so sneaky,
Well,
Mulcahy.
we are every month. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill.